something I thought about today at work. I had time to think about it. And it's related to a debate they were having yesterday on Tim and Sid. So the NBA playoffs are a joke. I'm just saying what everybody's thinking who's not an NBA fan. Golden State and Cleveland steamroll to get to each other. And so continues an NBA tradition. I remember the Chicago Bulls. I remember all their steamrolling to championships. I remember the Lakers doing the same thing. I remember them doing it in the 80s. I remember doing it in the 90s and 2000s. I remember Lakers winning a lot. And I remember taking my talents to South Beach, and then Miami eventually steamrolled to championships. So, in the NBA, because you've got I think it's 12 or 13 man roster, I don't pay enough attention to really care. I'm just being honest. What it comes down to is your team's fortunes are tied to really your top two guys. If you have a really talented center, a really talented guard, or a point power forward, you're going to do well. If you have a LeBron James, you're going to win championships. It's just how it is. And I remember early in LeBron's career when there were questions about whether or not he'd ever win a championship, etc., etc. This is still honey lemon tea, so if anybody's wondering, it's for my throat. But it's boring. Like, I guess if you're a Golden State or a Cleveland fan right now, you've got to be feeling great. But I was a Golden State fan. And I'm not anymore because I can't watch the NBA anymore because it's boring. The games aren't close. So where am I going with this? Well, I got to thinking about it. The NHL playoffs have been close. And Charles Barkley said that while the play is going on and he's not on the set, he's in the back watching NHL playoffs because they're fun and they're competitive and it's dramatic. So the NHL playoffs are much better than the NBA playoffs. So I think as hockey fans, we can agree we have a better product. Basketball fans would definitely take issue with hockey fans on that. And being that my channel is the hockey guy, I would be viewed as being biased. But to me, the fact that this year's playoffs will likely end up with the most one-goal games in the history of an NHL playoffs, and then on the other side, the NBA is just two teams steamrolling to play each other, there is something to be said for the stronger NHL and for the fact that, Nashville's still in. They were the top seed or bottom seed in the West to get into the playoffs. Ottawa's still in there. I don't think anybody figured they would get this far. I don't think anybody had them pegged for 10 wins in the playoffs. So, it's one of those things. But there's other sports in here too. And I'm going to say right now, I'm not going to talk about Major League Soccer because I don't watch it, and their system of 2 games and goal aggregates, and it's like it's stupid. Honestly, I don't agree with it. But when you have a sport where you can run around for 90 minutes and nobody scores, you have to come up with some weird system in order to decide who the winners and losers are, because otherwise you're just running around for another 7 or 8 hours until guys start dropping dead and the team forfeits. Or you do the stupid shootout, which is just not soccer / European football. But I digress. Now that I've made NBA fans mad and MLS fans mad, let's get to the NFL. The NFL is the best system in sports. They have a 16-game season. I love the NFL for that. I love that every game is important. There's no game you look at and go, Like, let's say you're 7-1 and you lose and you're 7-2. You can say, the team that beats you probably isn't saying it. So, in any given game, it's important to at least one team that's in that game what's happened. And very often, both teams have a dog in the fight. You have tremendous rivalries in the NFL. You have a playoff system that's one and done. And then you have this spectacle for the Super Bowl that is crazy. They have 2 weeks in between games, which I never agreed with and still don't. I think one week between games is better. But I get it. They want to make as much money as possible off the spectacle. But the best Super Bowls that I saw as a kid were the ones where there's only 1 week in between. And the Super Bowl is the greatest. Even though the game itself is really kind of boring. But the playoff system, the way they set it up, it is fantastic. And it is very rare that a team makes the playoffs that doesn't belong there. Despite there not being a lot of teams in each division. And you go, oh, that division looks really weak. That team probably, it's probably going to be a winner for that division that sucks. If they suck, they're out. Mediocre teams almost never do well in football playoffs. NFL deals with those teams quickly. And the star power in the NFL is really second to none. And I include the NBA here. Everybody loves or hates Tom Brady, but everybody knows who he is. And there are plenty of NFL players that are huge stars before they've even played a game in the NFL, which is, a big statement about how media and advertising drives sports now. For instance, Kevin Durant was mentioned. He's in Golden State, right? So if Golden State can't afford under the salary cap to pay him big money, it's fine. He's got a $30 million deal to sell shoes to fall back on. And when they said to fall back on, I was like, are you kidding me? $30 million to sell shoes? My God. So, that's crazy. But I digress. So I would say the NFL is ahead of the NHL. I admit that. Just because of the fact that brevity is the soul of wit. Don't waste my time. Red Letter Media. Give credit where credit's due. So don't waste any time. Get her done. And the NFL, it's every week and 16 weeks. And then at the end, 16 games. There's 17 weeks in a season. And then at the end of the year, you've got just one out. And it's just fantastic fun. Major League Baseball learned. Their playoffs used to be kind of boring. Their playoffs weren't boring because they weren't any good. It was because you only had 4 teams make the playoffs every year, which was great for exclusivity. But it meant there were so many games in September that meant nothing. And sometimes we'd know 3 weeks out who were going to play each other in the American League Championship or the National League Championship Series. So you're just kind of like, falling asleep waiting for these series to get all done to get to the postseason so you can finally see something happen. With what Major League Baseball does now with wild cards and with more teams being involved in the playoffs, it does water things down a little bit. I will admit that. And I think every time that a wild card team wins a World Series, for purists, for baseball purists, it has to be tough. It has to be a tough experience to see a wild card team win because that honor of winning the pennant's kind of changed since the playoff expansion. But Major League Baseball's done really, really well. That being said, it is baseball. And it can be hard to watch. There are games that are just tedious. Like you're like, wow, we've been here 4 hours and it's only the seventh inning. How the hell is this game taking forever? And then you see the manager pull up his pants and come walking out and does to the bullpen, and you're like, oh my God, they're changing pitchers again. Oh my God. And he's got to go out to the mound and scratch his nuts while he's talking to the pitcher, scratching his nuts, and then the catcher comes out and he's scratching his nuts, and then they look out to the outfield where some guy's scratching his nuts and they have a laughable at that. They replace the pitcher. It takes 10 minutes for him to warm up, and you're looking for a length of rope. So, to me, if I had to grade the big four, NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, and then the NBA. Tell me why I'm wrong in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And this is just one of those things that occurs to me during the day and turns into a video. Thanks for watching.